In the cold, misty dawn of October 9, 1940, as the world was engulfed in the turmoil of the Second World War, a boy was born in the city of Liverpool who would one day change the course of music. John Winston Lennon, a name that would resonate through the decades, came into the world at the Oxford Street Maternity Hospital, the son of Julia and Alfred Lennon. The birth of John Lennon was filled with contrasts. The joy of coming into the world amidst a global crisis and uncertainty. This contrast set the tone for his growth and development, laying the foundations for his complex personality. John's childhood was like a mosaic composed of love, loss, and music. His mother, Julia, was a vibrant figure, a woman who played the banjo and who passed on her love of music to her son. Their relationship was intertwined with tenderness and mystery, especially after John was left in the care of his Aunt Mimi. Aunt Mimi and her husband George Smith provided him a home at Mendips on Menlove Avenue 251, where John spent most of his childhood. Although Mimi provided stability, her approach was stricter, often suppressing John's artistic side. However, despite his aunt's attempts to steer him towards a decent career, John's passion for music did not wane. His early exposure to rock and roll, especially the influence of Elvis Presley, ignited a flame in him that could not be extinguished. As a young man, John formed his first band, the Quarrymen, which was more than just a teenage whim. It was his first step towards realizing a dream. Meanwhile, John's family dynamics continued to shape his emotional and creative landscape. Reunions and separations from his mother Julia left a lasting impression on him, especially the tragedy of her premature death. This event shook John's world, deepening his introspection and influencing his later lyrics. John's early life in Liverpool was more than just preparation for his future fame. It was a journey through joy and sorrow, creating the foundations for the man who would one day write songs that resonate with hearts around the world. Between the walls on Menlove Avenue, among the pages of his school notebooks, and in late-night daydreams, a legend was born. In the twilight of the 1950s, as Liverpool was still emerging from the shadow of war, John Lennon and his first band, the Quarrymen, were on the verge of something that would forever change the face of music. In that era, when teenage rebellion was in the air, John's love for rock and roll found expression through the vibrations of his guitar. His fate was sealed one summer in 1957 at a church festival in Woolton, where his band and he caught the attention of a young Paul McCartney. Their meeting was no ordinary encounter. It was the catalyst for a musical revolution. Paul, with his ability to bring 20 Flight Rock by Eddie Cochran to life, quickly won John's attention and respect. A swift decision followed to unite their talents, laying the foundation for something grand. In the months that followed, their creative synergy only deepened, bringing George Harrison into the mix, whose guitar skills added another layer to their evolving sound. Ringo Starr, with his impeccable sense of rhythm, completed the group, creating a quartet that would conquer the world. Their journey from Liverpool to Hamburg, where they honed their sound and endurance, only strengthened their resolve. Every performance, every song, every chord was a step towards legend. The Beatles became more than a band. They were heralds of a new era, symbols of generational change. Through songs like Love Me Do and Let It Be, they sang of love, friendship, and dreams, connecting hearts across the globe. This was not just a story about making music, it was about creating a new world filled with hope, inspiration, and understanding. In those early days, under the shadow of Liverpool, John Lennon and his friends embarked on a journey that would lead them to immortality, leaving behind a legacy that would forever shine in the history of music. The 60s were the era of the Beatles, when four young men from Liverpool, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, began their rise from foggy clubs to global fame. Their music, from Love Me Do to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, opened new dimensions of perception, blending profound lyrics with innovative sound. Lennon, as a key songwriter, explored human psyche, social injustices, and the quest for truth, giving the Beatles a unique depth and breadth. As the Beatles became symbols of new freedom, their domination was not without challenges. Internal tensions and external pressures tested the foundations of the band, while John's personal life underwent significant changes. His divorce from Cynthia Powell and marriage to avant-garde artist Yoko Ono marked a new phase in his life and work. Their partnership in love and activism, particularly focused on promoting peace, reflected John's evolution from rebel to peacemaker. The 60s not only marked the peak of the Beatles, but also the era of John Lennon as an artist who, through his music and life, left a lasting imprint on culture and society. His journey from Liverpool to a global icon was a path towards deeper meaning, leaving the world forever changed. As the curtain on the Beatles era fell, John Lennon stood on the threshold of a new era, illuminated not only by the light of his past glory, but also by the radiance of a future vision. The 70s brought changes not just to his professional life, but also to his soul. Joined with Yoko Ono, his life and artistic partner, Lennon embarked on a solo career that would expand the boundaries of his music and activism. Their first joint works, such as experimental albums and Bed-Ins for Peace, were more than music. They were manifestos for a new world, where love and peace reigned over conflict and division. Imagine, the anti-war anthem that became an eternal symbol of Lennon's ideals, was a call for unity, representing his vision of a world without borders, religion, and possessions. John Lennon's solo career was intertwined with his activism. His music reflected his views on peace, equality, and freedom, showing the deep connection between his art and political beliefs. With Yoko Ono, he led peace campaigns from protests against the Vietnam War to fighting racism and injustice. Their works, often considered controversial, sparked conversations on the global stage, raising questions many found uncomfortable or taboo. This period of Lennon's career was also marked by personal struggle and introspection. His songs, like Jealous Guy and Mother, were emotional reflections of his inner conflicts, searches, and understanding. Through his music, Lennon sought not just changes in the world, but also peace within himself. Lennon's activism and music in his solo career were not separate entities, but two aspects of the same fight for a better world. He used his voice, fame, and talent to speak out about what he considered important, regardless of personal risks or professional consequences. As the world listened, John Lennon did not just dream about peace. He lived for it, fought for it, and through his art and deeds gave it a voice that echoes to this day. John Lennon's solo career was a testament to the power of one man to impact the world, reminding us that even the quietest voice can resonate through eternity. As the 70s drew to a close, John Lennon found new peace in his life. After turbulent years of activism, music, and public controversies, he retreated to the quiet of his home in Manhattan with Yoko Ono and their son, Sean. It was a period of reflection and renewal, a time when Lennon dedicated himself to his family, art, and writing new songs that reflected his evolution as an artist and a man. However, the peace he found was short-lived. On the evening of December 8, 1980, as Lennon and Yoko Ono were leaving their Dakota apartment, tragedy struck the world. Mark David Chapman, a man Lennon had kindly greeted earlier that day, shot him, leaving music and the world in shock. Lennon's death was not just the loss of one of the greatest musical talents, it was the loss of a voice that advocated for peace, love, and humanity. News of his death spread across the world, leaving fans, friends, and family in disbelief and sorrow. In the days that followed, millions gathered, sharing their grief and paying tribute to a man whose music shaped generations, whose beliefs inspired a global movement for peace, and whose spirit remained indestructible. Lennon's legacy, however, transcended the tragedy of his premature death. His songs, from Give Peace a Chance to Imagine, continued to live on, becoming anthems for generations seeking change. His legacy also lives through Yoko Ono and their son Sean, who continue his fight for peace and justice. Memorials dedicated to Lennon, like Strawberry Fields in Central Park, serve as beacons of hope and gathering places for those who believe in his message. Through his music, activism, and life, Lennon left an indelible mark on the fabric of human culture. His death may have ended his life, but his ideas, his music, and his spirit continue to inspire and influence the world, proof that true legends never really die.